Down goes Francis. Jesus Christ. Boxing has been redeemed. Boxing has been redeemed. I was one of the people that was talking bad about boxing at the McGregor and Tyson Fury. And upon watching the Anthony Joshua and Francis fight, I've come to the conclusion maybe boxing is real. Maybe boxing is real. So anyway, Francis stepped into the ring, went to go handle business with Anthony Joshua, and he got done up. And it was done up in fashionably devastating show of just violence. And what I learned from this entire endeavor was there's levels. There's levels. So even though Francis was a very, very hard puncher, a very, very devastating puncher, his one advantage over Tyson Fury was the muscle component. Like he could just overwhelm Tyson. Tyson couldn't, not that Tyson couldn't take the shots, but Tyson couldn't land or go as hard and step in as much. Joshua was a little bit different. Joshua about the same body mass, a little bit stronger, maybe about the same strength. And what we saw was essentially just Joshua do the basics, jab at the body, hit the body, hit the body, hit the body, hit the body. And eventually, when he went upstairs, the upstairs was right there because the habit has already been built in that he was going to hit the body. And there wasn't much to say about the fight other than like Joshua pretty much smoked Francis, and I was surprised. Francis got Stipe, and it was bizarre to watch, very bizarre to watch. But this leads to like two or three other more important questions that we kind of have to answer. Can Francis go back to boxing? Like, does it make sense for him to go back to boxing? Because he took on like the two top guys. I guess the only guy left for him would be Wilder, and maybe he can take on Wilder. I don't know if Wilder's open. Well, actually, Wilder might be open to it now after seeing this Joshua fight. So it's like Francis, like he fought the top two guys. Does he go back and fight worse guys for less amount of money and for least amount of exposure? Because at this point, nobody's gonna really think Francis is a top boxer anymore. Like at some point, we were all talking about is Francis the number one boxer in America? Oh, not in America, in the world. Is he the top boxer in the world after that Tyson Fury fight? And now the perception of that is gone completely because Joshua just did him in. It kind of leads to like, hey, where does Francis go? Does he go back to MMA? Does he go to the PFL and fight that other huge ass savage that's like 6'8" something and get done in by him? Because at this point, you got to think about it. Francis is like 36, 37, something like that. So he's not going to get much better at boxing. Like his athletic prime is pretty much done. Now he's still a great fighter. He still can beat up majority of the planet. But like, is he really going to work his way up? Like fight a couple other boxers, work his way up to go up and take on like take on Josh or take on Tyson again. I think he did say he wanted to fight Tyson again, no matter what happened in this result. But at this point, Fury's like, well, no. At this point, Joshua kind of just redeemed the stock a little bit. So say Fury goes on, he beats Usyk. Chances are Fury's gonna go fight AJ. You gotta make that fight now. Why AJ's hot right now, because he is the hottest boxer. Because this is just a fascinating thing. Because perception is reality when it comes to the fight game, and pretty much just in anything in life. Whatever you perceive to be at is what you kind of are. So at this point, the fight to make is Fury versus Joshua. And where does that leave Francis? Only thing I can imagine is him fighting Wilder and just get the trifecta done. Now, if he can beat Wilder, we might be able to get a rematch with Joshua, maybe. Like, say Joshua gets smoked by Fury and Francis beats Wilder. I wouldn't mind watching a rematch with Fury and Francis, especially if you consider that Tyson had to fight Wilder 3 times, and the first time was pretty close. So but actually then again, Tyson did smoke Wilder 2 times in a row. So even then, it's like, like Francis will have to devastate Wilder in pretty bad fashion. But it kind of leads to a couple different questions. Like, okay, so now that Francis, the boxing experiment, the sham's kind of up now, and we can kind of say boxing is a real sport because we watched the top guy do what he should have did to Francis in the first fight. Does Francis go back to MMA? Does Francis even want to go back to MMA? Because I think after these 2 fights, I think he took home like $20 million for the Fury fight. And I don't know how much he got in this one. I know he got a couple million for this last fight. So can he just retire and call it a day? He might go to PFL, maybe go back to MMA, but does he really want to go back and do all that training, all the extra shit and components, especially considering for like the last year or so he's been doing nothing but boxing? Does MMA even make sense for him? And this just it was just a fascinating fight to watch because I couldn't believe what I saw. Like he got did in so quickly, so fast, so precisely. Like it was like wow, this was not what I was expected. And we all had this perception that Francis was the baddest man on the planet, and Joshua looked so composed, looked so good. He didn't look anything near like the guy that got beat by Ruiz and the guy that got beat by Usyk. And that's the crazy part when we really stop and think about it. Realistically, Joshua's kind of on a like a let's see, he was what? I mean, he beat some other weak guy, but in the top boxer, he's like 1-2, 1-3 in his last fights because he lost to Usyk twice. He lost to Ruiz that last time. Even the second fight with Ruiz, it was still not that great of a fight. He still looked scared and gun shy. So yeah, this is an interesting conundrum we find ourselves in the boxing game because I don't see Francis taking any reason. Like, he's not going to fight Zhang. He's not going to fight any of these lower rank guys because he's only fighting big fights. So it's interesting. Like, where do we go from here? Personally, if I'm Francis, I might see if I can get a fight with Wilder. Maybe do one more MMA fight. If I win the MMA fight, just retire and call it a career. He had a great career. Came from the sand mines of Africa. Got away with a boatload of money. Did what everybody said was impossible. And he's still looking pretty, man. So shout out to Francis for making dreams happen. Good job for Joshua for saving boxing. Because Lord knows if Francis would have did boxing, if Francis would have did Joshua in, Lord knows boxing will be a dead sport. Like boxing's already kind of dead as it is, but that would be the final nail in the coffin. So shout out to Joshua for saving boxing and buying him a couple more years of relevancy. Anyway, appreciate y'all for listening.